It really does feel like that to me sometimes. Because like at this point, it's like setting up things. I'm like, I don't really know what you're doing, Facebook, but I'm here. And I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. I feel like one of the things that we've all discovered in isolation is that we are not as tech savvy as we thought we were. I feel like such a boomer sometimes. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's like I think I'm doing it right, but I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, and that's okay. Like my phone hasn't told me like you're live on Facebook yet, so I'm like, okay. And then I look back at them. I'm like, there's always this part where I'm like staring funny at my screen, trying to figure out if it's like connected.
Yeah, I don't have the. I need to get the Facebook app. Okay.
Okay. I think I just got it to go to my TV. And then if I can mute that, I know what's going on. Yep, perfect.
I should give you a shout out to your mom at some point.
Yes, I actually wanted to do an apology to my mother last week because I was talking to my guest Mitch. I was talking to Mitch, and we were talking about like the process of dance and watching. Like, I hated parents' observation week as a kid. Like, it was awful to me, and I realized like for people to see the process is pretty cool. I only wanted my parents to see the end results ever. Like, I was like, please don't see the process. And
like the magic.
I feel I should apologize to my parents because I was like, please do not come to observation week. Like, I will be upset. Don't show up. And they didn't. They were really good about like respecting my space in that sense. But now I'm like, oh, you guys would have probably really enjoyed them. And I said, absolutely not.
It's tricky. I mean, I don't know. Do you know when the ballet studio where well, I guess at this point I used to go. The ballet studio where I went as an adult, they used to, it's obviously a place where they also have children's classes. And so they'd have observation week and it was like right before my class. So they would ask us to come in too. And half the time I just feel like such a heartbreak because some of the parents would say some things that I'm like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Just like, no commentary, please. They're 3 years old.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to A Stationary Snack, Conversations with Carmen. Tonight we have a super fun guest. And I think of all my guests, our story of meeting each other is probably, I think, the coolest and craziest. So it started in the summer. My friend Steven, who I went to college with, really good friend of mine, had some photography in a gallery, and it was a big gallery opening, and he was like pretty excited about it. And I, living in Raleigh at the time, this gallery opening was in Atlanta, which is 6 hours away. Like, so there's some space. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go down and support Steven because this is something that I know he's very passionate about. I know he's very good. So I was like, I'm going down. So I drove my first I went to Greenville. True story. I went to Greenville to hang out with another friend of mine, very close friend. So I stayed there the first night, and then I was like, I'm going to Atlanta because it's only 2 hours away. The next day, so I went to the gallery. The photograph is amazing. Like, it's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's like sediments, but it's also like there's animals, and I will leave it up to your interpretation when you see it, because I want you to be able to get it. What you think those animals are. But I'm looking at the photograph, and all of a sudden this awesome girl comes up and she goes, "This is gonna sound really weird, but is your sister Kiara?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Kiara had danced with Atlanta Ballet prior to and had also met Rosi, who's also friends with Kiara's friend Nadia, who's friends with my friend Pablo. So we just have this little like network of like being very intertwined together. And we met at this photo gallery, and it was really awesome. We ended up like talking like almost all the time. We had a great time meeting her, and I think it's really fun to, as artists, come full circle with the people who enjoy being around us and around art. Which leads me to introducing Rosi. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself before we like dive into question and ask.
Okay. Hello, my name is Rosi, and I was born in Venezuela, which is the north of South America, but as I like to say, the truest deep South. And yeah, I've lived in Atlanta on and off for many years, but definitely, let's see, like officially an Atlanta resident since 2010. And I have done a lot of work in theater and film. I went to school at the American University of Rome in Italy, which was an American school, but in Italy. So it was an American education. And I studied film production there with the hopes of becoming a director or sort of like somewhere in that realm of production. And I studied, I did some theater. I obviously did some dance before as well, before really switching to theater right after getting my pointe shoes. And then, yep. No, and the funny thing is, like, I actually love my pointe shoes. I actually love being on point. I just, we had a show and it had to be a warm. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then they showed me the costume, which is going to be like really like for like green, like lime green. And I was like, ooh, that does not go with my coloring. So at the age of 9, I said, I'm good. And I quit. Or 10, or yeah. But it was because of that lime green costume, which whatever. But yeah, I've been a huge fan of the arts and a huge supporter of the Atlanta arts for a very long time. Like Carmen said, I'm a huge groupie of the arts, and specifically ballet dancers, but not exclusively. I have many art friends, and I just love I love talking to artists. I love discovering new artists. I love the conversations that you can sort of dig in with in the sort of under the umbrella of art. You can talk about so many emotions and so many difficult things when you sort of start talking about art. And I love that artists usually are very open about their feelings and their emotions. And so it makes it great conversations.
Awesome. I love that. So let's go ahead and like dive in. Oh, wait, important. So snacks. I'm having a bubbly rosé because I think it's appropriate. I guess his name Rosie.
And I'm having a bubbly as well, with some blackberries and blueberries for health.
It's fruit.
It's fruit juice, yeah.
So let's start with how you got involved with the arts community in Atlanta.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit the funny story about actually meeting Nadia, who I've called her my gateway drug into the Atlanta Ballet. And when I say Atlanta Ballet, I mean like the community of dance in Atlanta. So I met Nadia when we were teenagers. I just happened to be in a dress rehearsal, and I talked to her, and we had some stuff. And obviously we were both from South America. She's from Uruguay, and we started talking, you know, whatever. Didn't see her for many years because I moved to Europe. And when I came back, I was like, you know, I kept tabs on all the Atlanta ballet dancers that I loved. And I was like, oh, that girl Nadia's still there. Cool, cool. And we just kept running into each other at all these other dance events. And then finally, when Wendy Willem came with her show, Restless Creature, it was like the whole Atlanta ballet, you know, like group was there, which was such a, like, I was so starstruck. I'm like, oh my God, look at all of them. Oh. And Nadia was there, and she's like, you know, we keep running into each other. Might as well exchange numbers since we keep going to the same things. And sort of through that, like I said, I mean, it was really like a gateway drug. After that, that whole community really took me in, and so it's been easy to sort of stay a supporter and stay, you know, aware of things, just because, you know, they know that I follow and they know that I'm a huge fan. And yeah, so that probably was like 2014, 2013. But before that, I mean, oh God, I don't know where I mean, you know, my friends were artists. A lot of the people that I met when I came to Atlanta in 2010 were artists. And it was just so easy to dive into that world because everybody was so eager to show and to talk about what they did. And it's just so exciting. So for me, you know, like I had a boring day job. I was working at a leasing. I was working in leasing and property management. So I wanted, so the world of the arts and all that was so exciting to get into and to sort of put my teeth in after the boring office.
I love that. I think it's also really interesting to like when you do continually run into people, like you go to a museum and you run into a person in a museum, then you go to like a performing arts show and then you run into that person there, and it's just kind of like cyclical of like, okay, obviously we like the same things. We're like doing like obviously there's a connection here, and like to make those connections, I think that's really cool. And I think it's also like one of those very unique things, like the whole, like the ballet is like, okay, we all have to see this one show and we all go to it at the same time because it's like that good. And then I think with Atlanta too, in a very unique situation, Atlanta has like so much art. Like there's the like fine arts that we like think about being on stage,
right,
or and ballet and theater, but then there's also film production, and the whole like half of the things we watch on television are produced in Atlanta. Like we think of Hollywood, but then I'm like, because like you Steven, I know like a lot of shows are made in Atlanta. So it's like, oh, there's so much art.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So much.
And it's so, and there's so many scales of it too, which is like what I think makes it really interesting is that you can really have like, it's not, you know, I've talked to friends who are from Boston, for example, and the sort of world there is very extreme. So you have the very, very high arts, and then you have the sports world, and the high arts are so high and very, you know, like, it's all about privilege and showing all the fine, how fine you are, and you know, whatever, all that stuff. And then the sports obviously is the other extreme. But here, you know, there's all these levels of art. So like you said, you have the orchestra and the ballet and the high museum and all that in the communities that those institutions bring. But then you have, you know, sort of the more like hipster community, you know, the small art galleries that bring out so many people. And it's a small-ish community actually, but it's so varied, and it's sort of like by price range, you know, like where do I want to go today?
How much do I want to invest into it?
Yeah.
But I think that's super cool, and I think too, like that. So in Bentonville here in Arkansas, we are very new arts community and it's growing. So we've got
Mm-hmm.
our beautiful art museum, Crystal Bridges, which I, of the four main galleries at that museum, I have yet to make it through all four of them. I get stuck, we'll call it, in the first two,
Mm-hmm.
like the classical art, the American. I like, cannot get through them only because it's I like it so much. It's if you go in a gallery and it's not like let me just like get through the gallery to say that I went through it. You stop and you sit down and you like you look at
Mm-hmm.
things and you see all of the things. And then for me, and there's like a funny thing, the thing that I personally love about museums is when you go to a museum and you find your friends in the museum. So like you look at paintings, you look at sculptures, you look at different things, and you're like, that looks like somebody I know. This looks like somebody I know. And it's like almost like a familiar, there's such a familiarity with all art that
Yeah.
art made 100, 200 years ago. And you're like, that looks like my friend. That looks just like my friend. And it's like, wow, we we are so connected. And I guess it's just a major connection thing. And so
Yeah.
I know in Bentonville, we're working on ways that we can expand our art even more. So we got Crystal Bridges, bringing this really awesome new contemporary art museum, the Momentary, which I can see from my apartment. It is
Oh,
in
I
the
love that.
old craft cheese factory. There's like boilers and stuff in there still. It's so cool. And
Ooh.
it's like a cyclical contemporary art museum. So it has moving like rotating galleries, or it
Yeah.
will. Unfortunately, it opened like February
Exhibits.
22nd, and then it's
Oh
been
wow.
closed since like COVID and stuff. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's the potential for so much really, really awesome visual art is
Yeah.
here. And I think with the ballet company, we're able in a really unique place to grow performing art. Because we have all of these really cool venues and we have all of this like excitement for art in the area. And so I think that connection thing, the connection of finding people like you who are like, I love the arts and like I want to delve in and become a super fan of everything you can. And I love that you call
Yeah.
yourself like a professional art student because I think that is like so cute, but also that's what art needs in its
Yeah.
own right. Like we need a group of people who are super hyped about art in all
Yeah,
forms.
and who sort of take away the whole idea that you have to know art to love art. Like I continuously talk about that, like, and how you should just, like dive in and like, try something new. It's, I didn't grow up, my mom didn't really like ballet. Like I grew up with opera because my dad was Italian, so we listened to a lot of the Italian operas, but it wasn't something that, like we didn't go to museums. I mean, we lived in Venezuela, like museums were very limited. um and and yet there was this idea, and I love this idea in Italy too, actually, that like art was for all, like that it was national art, that you needed to take pride in the fact that you love the art. And I think a lot of people here feel that way, but they're intimidated by, like what I think what they believe the art to be,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even my husband, who like loves the ballet and now goes with me to the ballet shows all the time, when I said, well, they're having this opera and it looks really awesome, he was like, ooh, I don't want to wear a tux and like, and I'm like, whoa, this is Atlanta, you don't have to wear a tux, you can go in jeans, like, and it's so, when you talk to obviously like ballet dancers, opera singers or whatever, they're people just like you and me. And I'm always telling my friends, I'm like, they are broke just like us, it's okay.
It's like, yes, I'm like, I'll eat a grilled cheese sandwich. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I love a good grilled cheese. Actually, funny story. When I was in college, I did a intercession study abroad over like Christmas break. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to Vienna, Salzburg,
Oh.
and Munich for like
Mm-hmm.
11 days. It was a very whirlwind, like
Yes.
fly in, stay for 2 days, train in the next city, like very good. I took an architecture course.
Yeah.
Very.
Oh, okay.
Very. It was great, but I did all of my work in German, so I got German credit for it because that's my minor. So I do speak I can speak German. I haven't in a long time, but I do speak it. But we went to like the Natural History Museum.
Mm-hmm.
We were there. Best grilled cheese I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
queso roll, like cheese bread, and I was like, "What is cheese bread?" And I was like, "This is grilled cheese to the max. Like, this is so good."
Yeah, I mean, I actually, you know, what's funny that I actually wanted to ask you about that because I saw, I was doing some stalking. I recommend that if to anybody who's a true groupie of the arts, you gotta stalk. But I was kind of stalking you, and I'm like, wait, she studied German? That's so cool. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, in Europe, it's a cool place to go to sort of like, if you think that the arts are way too high class, that's a good place to go to be reminded that they're not. Because you know, when I saw Roberto Bolle in Rome, and it was so cool because the theater was just full of totally different people, you know. So you had obviously like the people that were super fancy, you know, like fur coats and all that, and then you had the guy who was like wearing jeans and very, you know, like didn't speak proper Italian or anything like that, and you could tell that there was this huge just diversity of the type of people that love the arts, and that they didn't feel like because they were, you know, that they were a construction worker, that meant that they couldn't go see a ballet show. And so I think that's a cool thing about Europe. I don't know if did you feel that way when you went?
Actually, kind of did. So like, we went to 2 shows while we were there, and I'm going to turn my light on and light 2 seconds because I'm like, it's getting dark really fast in here. The first show we went to was in Vienna, and it was Nutcracker. So I don't know I think it was just like, we're all going to go to the Nutcracker at this Vienna State Ballet. And it was the same day we flew into
Vienna.
Like, we had been up since the like break of dawn, pre-dawn. Yeah. We flew in, so there's like the time change. Everyone's exhausted. We get all of our stuff, so we like, it's like time for I always point to this. Chris and I wear my watch on. It's time for the ballet, so we're like, we have to go right there. So like, we're in our travel clothes. I'm like, and for me, I'm like, I'm not dressed for the ballet right now because like, when I go, I like to dress up. It's just like a thing.
Yeah.
Like, my brain was like, you're not dressed for the ballet, and so I was like, really like, we were like rolling our luggage too, because we'd had to take our luggage to the theater.
Right.
There have like places that you can put stuff. Like, they're like, oh, you put your luggage in? Okay, we'll put it for you. But we went. I admittedly left after first act. I was exhausted, 1, and 2, it was such a different Nutcracker than what I was used to that I was like, I can't. I was like, I'm hearing this music and all I see is like other ballets I've done. So that was like my first experience of seeing ballet as an audience member in Europe, and I was like, oh. And it was like, we were in boxes and stuff, so it was like fancy. For me, I was like, this is fancy seating.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Normal. Like, it felt very, like, of the people almost.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Munich, I saw the Bayerische Shop Ballet. So I saw them dance the road. And I, again, dressed up for that. Went with one other girl. We, like, were the only 2 of our group because it was an optional trip. And there, like you said, there were people, it was a full spectrum. Like, I felt better for myself because I'm like, I have on a pretty dress, but it was freezing outside. So I'm like, I've got tights on and I have all my stuff. And I remember, and I'll never forget this, I was walking up the stairs to get to my seat. And apparently I walked really, really, really turned out. And the woman behind me, she asked, "Are you a ballet dancer?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "I could tell by the way you walked up the stairs." And I was like, kind of embarrassed. But then I was like, that is so normal to people. Like, she knew that I danced because I like toe first walked up the stairs like a silly person. But like, it was really, really cool. And I did stay that entire ballet. That ballet was spectacular. But it was like, it was like the people's thing. The people went to the ballet, and at the time, this was like 2008 or 2000. No, it was 2009, just at the beginning of 2009. But Munich was restoring the PVA theater, so they were like preparing for this huge grand reopening of this small opera theater. Got a behind the scenes like tour of it because our professor was like friends with the city planner. So like it was really cool. Like my searching, I would love to go back because we got so many cool insights. But yeah, it was very much, this is what people do. And it wasn't weird, and it wasn't like, it was like life.
Yeah. And everybody thinks of it as like a privilege that they get to go, you know, like it's not, they don't think about it as like something that's really removed from them. It's just part of life. And I mean, to the degree where like, you know, I would be talking to people and I would say, oh, well, you know, like I love the arts and I'm studying arts or whatever. And it'd be, you know, like a taxi driver or, you know, like a policeman that we struck up a conversation with or whatever. And they would be like, oh, yeah, yeah. You know, I went to see Verdi or whatever. And like they knew more about opera and things like that than I did. And I was like, well, I have a degree, you know, like what does this say about me? Like, damn, I should just get my money back and, you know, like live in the streets of Rome, you know. But it does feel like if like osmosis is a thing, you're definitely, there is a little bit of that happening, I think, in Europe. Just art is sort of so in your face, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn my light on. Be right.
I gotta.
All right. I think I moved the whole table out also. Oops. But yeah, and I think too with Europe, like the buildings are art, right? Like
yeah.
Go and you walk down the street and like the fact, like in Rome, even the fact that the streets is like a master of engineering. And like a lot of times we separate, I think, in like we separate art and science, and a lot for me, art and science are very much melded together. All of my students, like I see the disdain on their faces when I'm like, guys, guess what? I'm sorry, but pirouettes are physics, and we're going to talk about science right now. And they're like, oh my God, you're always with science and math, and well, that, like, it's the same.
I mean, like, like it's all about geometry. I feel like ballet is it's geometry and physics, you know, like, and you guys as ballet dancers are sort of the engineers of the arts, you know, like you have to be so much more precise than many other art forms, you know. So yeah, I think it's super important. I mean, and like that's a concept that, you know, if you look at in the past, you know, Da Vinci was called a Renaissance man because of his interest of art and science, and they were combined. I mean, at the time, because science was so new and everything, like all those concepts were so new, they melted it with the arts. So yeah, I think it's very important, and I think you're right that like we often don't see how they're related. And we're often told that we're not, like, if we have a brain for one, then we don't have a brain for the other.
And because I think about like architecture really, because you look at a beautiful building and it's like, why is this building so beautiful to me? I'm like, it's a work of art. Like if you have like your square it's like, ew,
Yeah.
that's just a square box. But if you
Yeah.
put some windows in special places and like put an angle there, it's like, oh my God, like it makes you feel something. And isn't that what art does? It makes you feel something.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever been to Chicago?
Yes.
Well, that's exactly the feeling I felt there. I remember we went and like our friend took us to this like marked place or whatever, and then we walk out and you just see like the whole outline of the city. And I remember being like really emotional about it, like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And it felt like the curtains had been pulled out, and here was this like architect's head, you know, like that like it was you were looking inside of an architect's brain, and it blew my mind. But it's the power of what, like, you know, interesting architecture can do.
And
And it's the same with a show. Right?
Yeah, I was like, we had talked about earlier, like the perspective of an audience member when they're watching ballet, because the perspective of a ballet dancer watching ballet dance is like
Totally different.
I find it very like, I don't know how to describe it. It's hard to watch ballet for me because I'm always not picking at the other dancers, but I'm looking I'm looking so specifically at what they're doing. It's hard for me to just sit back and enjoy a show, and I would love to be able to do that. But that's one of the things that I'm like, oh, I don't really know how to. But I think
oh, sorry.
To hear from like audience members, I think that's one of my like a fulfilling thing for me, because I like your perspective of what's going on there is completely different from my idea of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think it's very normal for artists to become sort of jaded in what they can do, you know, because it's so normal to you, or because you know, like everybody around you has those talents or seems to have those talents. You know, I talked to, before the lockdown, I went to an event at the orchestra here in Atlanta, and I was talking to this young woman who's a bass player, and you know, I was chatting her up and sort of asking her about herself, and she was like, well, you know, I went to Juilliard. And I was like, oh, you know, like no big deal, Juilliard. And she was like, oh, it's not a big deal, actually. Like a bunch of people here are from, and I'm like, no. I want you to understand that even if you think it's not a big deal, because in your small little world, everybody went to Juilliard. When you walk away, like when you take a step back, nobody else went to Juilliard. So like we all find it freaking amazing, you know? And it's the same with dance. So I find that, you know, let's see, like it's so, you know, it's very interesting what works. I mean, even with my experience in theater, what works, what clicks with an audience and what doesn't, right? And it's not always the things that click with the dancers. And sometimes, you know, like obviously I'm friends with the dancer, so I'll hear sort of the how the process was. And, you know, sometimes the process is really painful. Sometimes, you know, the choreographers are tricky, or, you know, like the director, the staff is, you know, tricky or whatever. Or the special effects are too much, and then you have to like figure out, and there's not glamour, you know. But on my side, all I see is the magic, and I'm like, and it's kind of amazing. But I would say that it's definitely, in my perspective, the best shows are the ones where people commit fully, you know? So when you see that commitment, and where you see that work of ensemble, of like, you might have the most ridiculous costume on, you might not believe what you're saying in this ballet, but you're so in it. And you can see, I mean, to me, like, it's very obvious the dancers that I can tell are visualizing, that are really in that moment, are really feeling those characters, you know. And I know it's hard because dance can be so precise, you know, and probably a dancer's thinking, well, is my arabesque high enough, or, you know, am I really crossing my fifths, because that's all you hear in the studio, right, from the teachers or whatever. But the audience doesn't care at all. You know, like you'll have your critics or like the random like like former Russian ballerina that's somewhere in the audience that will be snooty. But what like the people that can really transport you, they're transported too, and I think that that's the power that they have, is that they're sort of bringing you along, you know.
Uh-huh. That's like I
So
think that's a perspective that like again I'll keep saying it over and over again. Like that's what I think ballet needs is people who are like consuming our art in the sense that it's like it transports them and then they're like, hey listen, I'm gonna tell you how that just transported me to like another place. And like remind dancers because there's I feel like many dancers. Some people are like blessed with some reason that their brains are like not crazy. But like most of us are hypercritical and especially
mm-hmm.
with ourselves. And it's very hard to separate a good show from like I'm disappointed in myself show because for me I've had a lot of like wow that was pretty bad and I'll go off stage thinking, wow, that was pretty bad. And then I'll have somebody like I'll go like a lot like I don't go out much, but like in Raleigh, I would walk through the lobby to get lunch on the two show
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. And I would matinee, I was like, well, that was pretty awful. Like your artistic staff was not happy with it. So like I would be down on myself
Mm-hmm.
even more. Walking through the lobby, like, let me just get something to eat real quick so I can go take a nap in the car before I go to the next show. And then there would be an audience member who would, oh my gosh, your performance, like it, I was crying. And I'm like, what? Why were you crying? Because like that was terrible. It was really bad. But I mean, you never, I'm never gonna be like, oh my God, it was actually really bad. But
Yeah.
like to hear your audience being moved by what you did, even if you did not feel that what you did was of the quality that you wanted it to be, or not what you thought it could be, but for them it was something that I think is amazing. One that like as an artist, you can make something that you feel is not good art, but somebody else loves it. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then also I think it helps us as artists to be accepting of our art because I think throughout history with all types of art, most I can't off the top of my head think of any artist who was like, yeah, I'm good.
Right. Yeah, and I mean I think a lot of it, so much of it is that it's a reflection of a person, right? So like what I'm getting out of a piece is informed by my life. So so if I'm watching a scene that is especially powerful or romantic or whatever, I'm gonna draw on my experiences, my whatever similar experience I have, and have those feelings, you know. Like I think what, you know, if you look at Hollywood or if you look at like the movies that click with people, a lot of it is like regular old experiences that everybody can sort of understand in their own way. You know, we're all different, so we've all had different life experiences. But I think that that's the power of art, and that's and I know it's hard. It's so hard because it's good to be self-critical. It's good not to think, you know, like, oh, I'm a gift to my audience. It's good to want to improve, you know, and all that. But always understanding that like somebody is seeing something out there that's beyond you, and you're sort of a vessel for those emotions, you know, and those feelings that people are having.
Yes. So
But,
cool.
but yeah.
So cool. I side note, one of the things that I really truly enjoyed for myself um, with this show is in talking about art because I was like, you know what, let's like kind of talk about dance, but not talk about dance and just talk about stuff like life and like have a conversation. But I think the thing with every person who I've talked with is art makes such a big impact on our lives in so many different ways. Like it might just be I like to look at it, or I would love to be able to like express and like put into art what my brain wants to do. Like I talked to my friend who just graduated from PA school and like the medical arts and like she was like, yeah, there's a bunch of different type of stethoscopes. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, there's different concepts. And I to like think in an expanded view of the way art kind of winds itself into literally every part of our lives to the place where we're like, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? Like I think that's so incredibly cool. And
yeah, and I mean, no, and I love that. And you know, like one of the things that has been really obvious to me during this time has been how incredible it is that artists are so aware of the power of their position. I feel like, you know, with all the free art and all the streaming and all the free things that have been offered, even this, like a chance to get to know you at a personal level, right? For the audience to know you at a more personal level. It's sort of like the way that a lot of art organizations have shown that they get it. They get that people need the arts, even if it means that the artists themselves might not be getting paid or might, you know, whatever. What is so moving to me that an artist can say, hey guys, like I'm gonna offer a free ballet class. Because they know that it helps people. You know, they say, well, I'm going to teach a movement class and, you know, I want us all to move. And they know the power that it has. And I think it's sort of a noble profession, you know, because you understand the way that you have in the world, but then you don't take yourself too seriously.
And I think too, like in the light of everything that's going on and how much we've been like, hey, like, let's do this, or like, what are new innovative ways that we can spread art? Because I think that in times of crisis, what is like truly the one thing that keeps us together as a human society worldwide, it's art. It's the thing that even during wars, like people are like fighting to keep art safe and fighting to keep art alive. And I think that with all of this, we have as artists an even greater opportunity to access people who might feel or have felt disadvantaged by the arts or felt like they couldn't step into the arts. In one of my earlier episodes, I was saying like I think there's a fear for a lot of people when they're new to art that like if you go to the ballet or like the opera or a theater production, you're not going to understand it. And I was like, honestly, like I think the best part for me is going and not understanding and not knowing what it's supposed to be about, because then I don't have a preconceived idea. It's open to my interpretation. And I think one of the pieces that I danced, the last thing that I got to dance was a cottage between me and another guy. And we knew what it was about, but that specific idea was not told to the audience. It wasn't really told to the company. So like the two of us and our choreographer knew what we were dancing, and everyone else was open to this interpretation. And I think that openness of saying like, what does this make you feel? Because it's going to be different. Like you said earlier, it's going to be different from what somebody else feels. And I think that that fear factor with art, with like high art, because it's like, to me, I'm like, it's we call it high art, but it's like it's just people expressing themselves in a different way. Like all I'm doing is telling you how I feel, but like I can't use my words well, or I don't like to use my words, so I'd rather just show you with me like
So and for like, a long time, you know, like ballet was what they had at cabarets, you know, like so it's come a long way. But you know, like it's like I feel like exactly. It was so funny, and you know, like to like read books by famous ballerinas who you know, like older ballerinas and them talk about how like it was such a shameful profession. You know, and I'm like, yes, God forbid those like long tutus and the point shoes.
Your ankles are showing.
So funny, you know. But I think it's more about like this idea too that like we all have bodies, you know, like we dance can be so transformative because we can relate even if we can't move that way, you know. Not all of us can put our legs here, but you know, we can dream that we can through you guys.
Yes.
Be like, oh, that jump, that looks easy.
I even wanted to bring in so you were taking ballet classes. I think you still probably do take some classes that are offered like online and whatnot. But I think that's a really cool thing, and I think more people should start ballet as like adults and because I hear so many times like, oh yeah, I wanted to be a ballet dancer, but like XYZ happened, or like
Right.
I've always wanted to try ballet, but like I don't have the body. And I was like, honestly, a ballet body is a body doing ballet. Like there is this crazy idea that is what we typically see on stage, but I think that's changing. But because your body can do it, it's a matter of knowing. I think too with like education and just knowing anatomy and how our bodies work. It's a lot easier to like, oh, this is what your femur is doing while it's connected to your hip, but like, so this is how we're gonna do it. So like, I think that's really something really incredible and special. That I think too. Like, tell us a little bit about dancing now for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of it. So I've said this before, and I hope I don't get too emotional. But dance really saved my life. I had gone through my first major breakup, and there were a lot of things in my life that were changing, and a lot of things that I had no control over, like, you know, my immigration status, or, you know, like the paperwork that takes. And I was going to the gym a lot, and I was exercising, but it was making me, and I was hiking a lot too, but it was making me sort of angry. Like I felt it was this almost like a disconnection between my body and my brain, and I could tell. And I've never been an angry person. Anger is an emotion that I really don't know how to handle. And it was so foreign to me. And I went to a cafe. I had a day off, and I went to a cafe sort of to be like, okay, I'm just going to write, and I'm sort of going to put myself out there in the universe to see, like, you know, whatever message, you know, like to whatever God, or, you know, like being out there. And I found a flyer for a dance class, for a beginner ballet class. And I was like, well, I haven't taken ballet in forever, but, you know, this is a small studio, and it won't be intimidating. I think I'll just go, you know, and if I don't like it, well, whatever. And I'm so glad that I did. I mean, I haven't really turned back after that. That was probably 7 years ago. And so I've been taking ballet once a week, at least once a week since then. And it changed my life. It changed my relationship with my body. And I don't have a ballet body, but or you know, like a professional body, but I feel that that's sort of like the liberating part about doing ballet as an adult, is that you're liberated from the constraints of, you know, that you see when you're a kid, because I don't need to go on point if I don't want to. I don't, like, you know, my turnout doesn't need to be crazy, you know, like I can just work with my little turnout and work to my comfort level and still be able to do so many great things. And I think anytime that you're able to build on something, to practice that discipline, because that's what ballet is to me, is a wonderful discipline where I'm not good at it, but I love working on it and I love accomplishing things.
I love that. Slash, I also don't think that you're not good at it. Like, I've never seen you in class, but Y'all, Rosie has like amazing dance parties right now. She just puts music on and gets like her Instagram and she just is dancing and she's an incredible mover. And it's like I can see through her movement, not just her movement, but like she's like, I might be in my house. It might be day 50 something, I don't even know anymore. But I'm in my house. But she still has this joy that comes from her body, from moving. And I think that in a way is kind of what any dancer feels. Like there is this joy, like when you're dancing, that just all of a sudden comes out of your body. And you don't really know where it comes from, but you're like, this is it. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast recently about this guy who has done a lot of work with trauma patients and sort of connecting them with some sort of exercise or something that gets them back to their bodies. And he's seen great success. And I mean, he works mostly with yoga, but he also mentioned dances as a huge, help. And he mentioned, like if you look at the way that traditionally, like in tribal times, the way that we worshiped, it was through our bodies. People would dance, people would move, people would sing, because it was a way that we allowed, emotions and bigger concepts and sort of the idea of control to sort of go through us and go away from us, So yeah, I mean, I think I preach this too. Like I always talk about like the church of dance and all that stuff. I preach it because I truly it truly saved my life, and I have met wonderful people, you included, through it. And my life has been forever changed, but I did always like dancing. Not not always ballet, but I used to be like the baby that danced to the blender, my mom said. So, I found my groove.
I was like, she's always moving. She's always moving.
Oh yeah. I think that's why I can be friends with dancers, because like, we're all restless. So like, like right now I can't be in a chair for Zoom meetings. I have to be in like the exercise ball so I can like sort of move around. Yeah, I don't have the flexibility to like, rock my leg back and forth, but I have the bounce.
I was gonna say you have to move them.
Hey, I can turn. I can do a turn. I can do one turn here and there, like I can rock some PKs.
Oh my god! I can't wait to get back to Atlanta. So obviously to see you.
Yeah.
You have a dance party. But are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. Here we go. Talking or texting?
What? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, talking or texting?
Talking.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
I'll say language.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fun one. That's a hard one.
It's a hard one.
How long does it take you to get ready?
Depending, but usually about 10 to 15 minutes. I don't do much.
That's awesome. I'm like not very long. Absolutely right. Mostly because I would change my outfit.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, when there's that, yeah. But yeah, I'm not as together as you. So like you can tell, like there's some people that are very together, and it usually like that takes time but I also think that that's a little bit of like a zen moment for them, I mean, I know it's very zen for me, even in the short time that it takes me to get ready, but yeah.
Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal calories?
I hope not, because I like animal crackers.
Scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Dawn or dusk?
Dusk.
Place you want to travel. You most want to travel.
Oh, I want to go back to Italy. I miss my family.
I'll come with you.
Yeah. They'll
Favorite
love you.
What?
They'll love you. I don't think the boys will let me bring you back.
Favorite childhood TV show?
Oh, Scooby-Doo.
Favorite season?
Summer, because I love to swim.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Have you ever worn socks with sandals?
Hell no. Honestly, I'm half Italian. I think that if a half Italian, anybody who has any Italian genes wore socks with sandals, they'd probably like, I don't know, they start dying a little bit inside.
So you're dancing. They just combust. Why can't we tickle ourselves?
Why? Because we need human connection. So we need somebody else to do it.
That's starting to become my favorite of these because I get a completely different answer from everybody, and I love it.
Oh, I wanna watch more. See what people say.
What's the best age?
I'm hoping it's 40. I'm 30. I'm 34 right now, but I've always thought of like 40 as like that moment where like something clicks, you know. Mind you, I'm sure that I'll turn 40 and still be like a mess, but but I like have this like idea that 40 like things just click, you know. You have your like routine down. You know what to put in your face. You know how to do your makeup right. You know what goes well with, like your body type, and then you're sort of done with all the self-criticism, you know. I'm hoping.
I like it. If Voldemort offered you a hug, would you accept?
Ooh, movie Voldemort, definitely, because I love the fines. Yeah, I think I would.
Awesome. So far, I think all. Yeah, I think Voldemort's 2 for 1 right now. I'm getting hugs. We might need.
Yeah, he needs some love. He needs to find. People say find Jesus, but I think he needs to find love.
That's what it was missing. Spoilers. Would you rather cuddle a baby panda or a baby penguin?
A baby what? I'm sorry, panda or what?
A panda, a baby panda, or a baby penguin?
Oh, I think penguin. I've never touched a panda, but I've touched, the Elena Sue had like panda hair that you could touch, and it's very coarse. And I don't think that it would be a pleasurable experience.
Would you want to live forever?
No.
Big dogs or small dogs? Cats.
Big.
How many hours of sleep do you need?
Right now I'm probably getting a lot of hours of sleep. I'm gonna say 7 or 8, and then there's the naps. So yeah.
What's your favorite carb? Bread, pasta, rice, or potatoes? Or you can rank the 4, because I ranked mine.
Wait, pasta Or
So
potatoes?
you can pick your favorite carb, bread, pasta, rice, or potatoes. Or I'm going to create
Pasta.
the option that you can rank bread, pasta. Okay.
Oh, right.
Good time.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Stale
Yeah.
Sour Patch Kids.
I love
or
rice too. Crap.
I
Wait,
ranked mine
what I missed
because
you
I
there.
love all four of those.
You said Sour
Is
Patch
it that?
Kids and what else?
Stale Sour Patch Kids or fresh circus peanuts?
Oh, wow. Oh, fresh peanuts, I think. Yeah.
Like
Fresh.
circus
Fresh
peanuts,
is
like
always
those
better.
orange ones.
Yeah.
I hate circus peanuts.
I kind of do
What's
too,
your favorite car?
but I like them fresh.
Okay.
My favorite car? Like driving?
Sure. Or
I love
looking at.
Toyotas. I think this is gonna sound it's a very safe answer, but I miss my Toyota 98. I had it when I was first here, and nothing compares to that car, and I miss it every day.
You sound like Kiara. Like she doesn't drive in Montreal, but she's like, every now and again, I really miss the Corolla. I'm like, oh my God, such a weirdo. Scale of 1 to 10.
The late
How good are
90s
you at wiffle ball?
Toyotas are. Oh, I don't know what that is.
The wiffle ball's like baseball, but the ball has a bunch of holes in it. It's like a hollow ball with a bunch of little bitty, like, it looks like Swiss cheese, but it's a ball.
Oh.
Just like baseball.
I'm gonna say I'm
but it doesn't hurt
bad at it. I like that it doesn't hurt, but definitely terrible at it.
Yeah, because it's just a hollow ball. It doesn't hurt if it hits you. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Oh, this is a good question. So I used to drink 2 a day. Sometimes also do a little espresso at the end of my dinner. But now I have gone down, and I honestly physically can only do 1 in the morning. And I have to water it down, which I would have thought it was terrible back in the day, but yeah, I'm weak now.
That's awesome. What's your ideal outside temperature?
Um, 80 degrees.
Lovely. Favorite type of muffin?
Chocolate.
From 1 to 10, how hot do you like your shower water?
Ooh, 8.
If you were given an all-expense paid trip to Cleveland, would you take it?
Yeah. Cleveland rocks.
Ohio.
Yeah, sure. I actually have some friends there, so it would be nice.
Tapas or pasta?
Pasta.
When people stand up for a standing ovation, are you usually one of the earlier people to stand up or one of the later?
I am like an artist mom. I'm the first one. And I'm screaming names, and I'm like tearing up, and I'm, yeah.
Love it. If there's a spider in your house, do you kill it or set your house on fire?
Spiders are not my they don't scare me. So I usually put it away. I try to put it away, and if not, I kill it. And I say in Spanish.
Was do you kill it or set it free? And I was no, those aren't the two options.
Yeah, I'd set it free.
Let it go.
Yeah, unless it's if it was a rodent, I would kill it.
I would just stand on the counter screaming like a child until somebody.
Oh well, yeah, that's usually. Yeah, that's the good thing about having cats. They usually take care of the killing.
Yes. Polka dots or stripes?
Polka dots.
Would you go to a movie alone?
Yes, I have.
Same. I think that now that that one, I'm like, I think everyone goes to movies alone, right? That's normal.
Yeah. I was a film student. We had to.
If you were given the opportunity to fly into space, given today's technology, would you take it?
Yes.
Would you rather, okay, this is important. Would you rather, these two options are the same size. Mine.
Okay.
Would you rather come face to face with a miniature hippo or a giant cockroach, both of which are in a bad mood?
A giant hippo and a giant what?
A giant cockroach.
Oh no, I'd rather deal with the hippo.
Exactly. That one is crazy. Who's your favorite Harry Potter character?
Who's my favorite what?
Harry Potter character.
Oh, so many. I love Luna.
You're the second. Luna's got 2 votes already.
Yeah, she wasn't self-conscious, and she sort of was her own little weird self and was okay with that. And yeah, sweet character.
I like Luna. She's like, you can be you, and that's cool.
Yeah.
What's the sound you would make if you were freezing cold? When eating a formal meal with multiple forks, do you start from the outside or inside?
Oh, you start from the outside.
Sour Patch Kids or Swedish Fish?
Sour Patch Kids.
Scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at trivia?
Depends on the questions. I just almost won a trivia with my friends, but it was mostly an arts related trivia with a lot of like pop culture. So
10.
So yeah.
Super Mario Brothers is 8. You're gonna give yourself an 8? Okay.
Sure. Feeling confident.
I like that. 8's a good number. It's a good number. Super Mario Brothers or Zelda?
I don't play video games, but no, I think Super Mario, because gotta stick up for my Italian people.
What temperature do you like your thermostat at?
71, 75.
I like that. Which animal adds more joy to the world? Squirrels or llamas?
Llama, of course.
And finally, how do you feel about cranberries?
Cranberry. It's really good in fancy cocktails.
I was gonna say, I particularly, cranberries and me get along and weird. I like cranberry juice, like in the glass bottle that's like the nasty kind that you have to water down because it's too tart to drink on its own.
Oh, I like that one too. That's what I'll water it a little bit, but I like that rather than something that's too sweet, you know?
Yes. But then I also like love cranberry sauce and cranberry relish. I'll make my own cranberry sauce, but I also like the kind in the can that you have to cut on the can lines and it's jiggly and kind of looks gross.
I think that's more of Yeah, I think I wonder if that's something that Americans get from like more of a Germanic influence, you know, because like I've that the cranberry sauce thing, I had like finally after so many years in this country and so many Thanksgiving, finally last year I was like, hey, cranberry sauce is not bad.
What kind did you have?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Jack made his own. My husband. Yeah.
Cool. So I like to do a stovetop sauce if I don't do a
Oh.
relish, and you like just put like orange juice and the
Mm-hmm.
cranberries, a little bit of sugar in there. But I also like to
Mm.
split the orange juice and do half like if it says a cup of orange juice, I do half a cup of orange juice and half a cup of red wine, and just
I
pour
love
that
that.
in, and it like pops the cranberries in like a sugar sauce. It's I think it's wonderful. Um, but
That's
that's
yummy.
like my favorite way to eat cranberries is like popped into the sauce, and I'm like, I'm just gonna eat this, and I like it a lot. But those are my rapid fire questions.
Can I
I'm not.
ask you, can I ask you a question, a
Yeah,
rapid fire
absolutely.
question? So the first day that you get to be back in a studio, what is a step that you've been dying to do, but you don't have the space or you don't feel safe enough with the floor?
Ooh, I think just jumping in general. I haven't really been jumping because I'm on the second floor of my apartment, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry to my downstairs neighbor because I was like trying, like I fall out of most of my pirouettes because that's not my thing. So like he hears me
Mm-hmm.
falling out of every pirouette that I try to do up here, and I'm like, I'm just, every time I fall, I'm like, sorry, sorry, and then like people are like, okay, we're gonna jump. I'm like, I don't live downstairs, so I like went
Mm-mm.
either jump on my balcony or I try to jump quietly, which means I don't put my heels down, which is a thing for me anyways. But I'm like, I don't want to land. So I think jumping, like just
Yeah.
any big jump to get my hips off the floor and know that I'm
Yeah.
not going to disturb anybody while I'm doing
Yeah. I miss that the most. I miss seeing dancers like jump, you know, because I can then like I can imagine like the wind in my hair, and I'm like, yes, I look exactly like that when I do a grand jeté, you know?
yes. I think
Yeah.
too, like, because I've thought about that actually, like what it's going to be like to get back in the studio again. And I like some days I'm like, I'm gonna be so pumped. And then other days I'm like, I'm literally gonna be a puddle on the floor crying because I'm just gonna be so emotionally overwhelmed that I can do what I've been trying to do and getting frustrated at myself for not being able to do
Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be a little combination of both of like me crying and like jumping. You're like, oh, this is so good. Like crazy.
And then I'm sure you'll miss your plants. You'll be like, oh, I hope the babies are okay today.
Oh yeah, I'm like, I'll bring the bromelia that I've been spotting for pirouettes and be like, this is my new spot. So someone put it on the shelf that's about 6 feet high or 5 feet. That's a 5 foot shelf.
I love it.
So yeah, that's awesome. And I've had a great time. I feel it's like late. A lot of my guests are East Coast, and like you have to respect the time. It is later there than it seems here.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
forget that too. And I'm like, oh, it's 10 p.m.
oops. But I had an amazing time talking to you. It's like no time has passed. You guys actually you can find Rosie has an arts account on her Instagram, which is awesome. You can follow that. It's what
It's
I'm gonna get.
Rosie Art Fly, I think.
I was like, I'm gonna confuse it with your regular one.
Yeah,
So,
I have a private one and then I have a public
so Rosie Arts Fly. You can also check out our friend Steven, Stephen David Walton, for his photography. It's really amazing landscapes.
one. Outstanding.
Like they will blow your mind at what the earth is capable of and what a human is capable of seeing in it and capturing. Um, and then hang out with us whenever you want to. I look forward to popping into Atlanta, hanging out with my friends. So that's our show for tonight. This is when I don't know how to close like the Facebook Live.
And visit Arkansas. Visit Arkansas.
Yeah, come to Arkansas. It's hotter later than it is on the East Coast. Like it's still chilly to me here. Like it got warm today, but it definitely like it was cold last week. And rain.
Oh, I want to go.
So yeah, it does the whole like our June death summer thing happens like super late here. So
I like that.
And I'll take you to the art museum when we can go, and we'll make it to galleries 3 and 4. Hopefully.
Yay. I love that.
Thank you, Facebook. I'm going to stop the live stream now.